Hey guys, it's me Ashley, and today I am going to be starting a new segment on the channel called All About the Books. I am such a huge reader. I love reading the books before the movie, which might sound weird to some people, but with the books you get more details and descriptions and you can imagine the characters however you want, but when you watch the movie, you don't get that. And so I kind of just wanted to try something new on my channel. I've seen like a lot of people do book reviews, and I was like, oh, I read a lot of books, why shouldn't I? So if you ever need a book to write about or do a project in school for, or you just want to find a book to read, this could be the place for you. I've never done a book review, and this will be my first time, so if you have any suggestions or comments for me on like how I can make this better, or what kind of books I should talk about, or maybe what your favorite kind of books are, that would be helpful for me in starting this segment. So yeah, the first book I'm going to be talking about today is I Will Always Write Back. It's by Caitlin. I feel bad for butchering it, but I think it's Alafranca and Martin Gonda with Liz Welch. If you want to look at it, this is the book. It is about two kids that become pen pals through school, but they continue to write to each other years and years after they were assigned to. The two main characters in the book are Caitlin, who is from America in Pennsylvania, who has enough money to afford luxuries, basically, like cars and going to college and stuff like that, not having to worry about money, basically. And the second one is Martin, who is from Zimbabwe, Africa, who is in a place where there's not a whole bunch of money, and $1 from America to Zimbabwe is $35 there. Martin is smart, and he lives with, I believe, his family of 5 or 6 in a hut, and they share it with another family. And so you kind of see the differences from the characters. When they first start writing, it begins when Caitlin's in 7th grade. So Martin would be about 12, same as Caitlin. And it starts out as a plain letter, like, hey, my name is Caitlin. What do you like to do for fun? What kind of pizza toppings do you like? Just trying to get an insight on who Martin is. When Martin receives the letter, he is one out of a few of his class to get a letter, because the class from Caitlin was assigned, they pick a country, and a lot of them pick places in Europe instead of Africa, and Caitlin was one of a few to pick Zimbabwe. And so only the top of the class in Martin's class got a letter. So Martin was the top one, so he got Caitlin's letter. And he responds to it, you know, like, hey, my name is Martin. I'm from Zimbabwe. What kind of questions do you have for me? And he starts asking her questions. And the next letter, she sends him a picture of herself. And he's like, why would she send me a picture? Because that's so precious to someone. Why would they send me a picture? And Martin's trying to figure out how he's going to get a picture back to Caitlin, because in Zimbabwe it was a lot of money just to get your picture taken. And to get your picture taken was a luxury. So he kind of finds old photos of him and sends it to her. And the more the characters write to each other, the more in-depth their friendship gets. They go, like, each chapters, I'll show you. They start with, like, the first one is hello. And then, hold on. To find it. Oh, right here. Sorry. And like the next one would be generosity. And like each different part in the book has different like titles, I guess you would say. And the more Caitlin talks to Martin, she realizes that he is struggling because for Martin, his mom is pushing him to be number one in his class because in order for him to get an education in America, which he wants to do so badly, he has to be number one in all of his classes to get a scholarship. And sooner or later he tells Caitlin that, and she feels so bad because not only is Zimbabwe having troubles with money, but Martin gets kicked out of school for not being able to afford it. People in his city are being kicked out of their houses because they can't afford it. And any clothes you have, everyone shares in the household. So Martin would wear a shirt and later his mom would wear it, or his little brother or sister would wear it. And so Caitlin felt so bad because she had all these nice things and he had not that much. And so she starts sending him money, and like I said, $1 here is $35 there. And when his mom finds out, she's like, wow, why would she give you money and stuff like that. And Martin was just like, oh, she's such a good friend, and they just formed this like closer bond to each other. And sooner or later, Caitlin's family gets involved in trying to buy them shirts and clothing and like the nice products in America, like Nike and Adidas and Under Armour and stuff like that, and send those shirts to Martin. And sooner or later, all the family is getting clothes and stuff like that. And I don't want to give too much away because, you know, you want to read the book and figure out what stuff happens. And the cool thing about this book is at the end almost, I'll show you. There's some pictures of like what each other look like Caitlin and Martin and their families. The first photo she sends, Martin's photo, and it's such a touching story because it's a story that kind of teaches you to be grateful for what you have, because some people don't have food, they don't have running water, they don't have clothing, they don't have a house or anything that most of us take granted for. And it kind of makes, when I got done reading it, I just wanted to pack up all my clothes and send it to people in Africa or send a couple dollars there, because I knew that it was so much money to them. And this is my favorite book that I've ever read. And it's, the thing is how one letter changed 2 lives. And not only does it change those 2's lives, but the people who read it, it kind of changes yours, because you get an idea of what it's like for people who don't have nice things. Another thing about the book is, I don't want to give too much away, but Martin, like, he wants to go to college, and so Caitlin and his family try to help him get his dream, and they just want to help him be the best he can, because he is the number one in his class, and he has to maintain that throughout his whole years in education in order to be, what would the word be? To be one of the few that can get a scholarship, because it's not just anyone who's in the top gets to go. It's kind of like, I don't want to say it's like a raffle, like, you know, it depends on who you are and what your grades are. And Martin gets kicked out of school because he can't afford it, and so Caitlin tries to step in, and like I said, through their pen pals, they just become closer friends. And not only are, like, you feel like you're part of the story, you feel like you're part of those letters that they send. And it is such a good book, and I really recommend it. If you ever have to do a book report on a book, this would be one of the best books you could do a report on. It may look big. It's not too big. It's about 360 pages, but the printing is big. So, I mean, and the chapters are pretty small. They go by, like, who is the letter and whose point of view it's from. So, like, this one would be Caitlin, and then this one would be Martin, and, yeah. And this book doesn't leave you on too big of a cliffhanger, but it does kind of make you wonder, like, what happens next. Like, I kind of want to know what happens next, but yeah, it's such a good book, and I really recommend it. And I know I've been babbling about read the book, but seriously, this is my favorite. I've had my mom read it, and she loved it. I wrote a review for it in my local bookstore, and a lot of people are starting to get it. And so, if you want a book to read just for fun or for school or just whatever, this is a book for you. And yeah, so